Why living simply is the most powerful thing you can do. Listen closely. The world is loud, but the pressure is silent. It doesn't shout. It doesn't warn you. It slowly tightens around your life until breathing feels heavy. Every day, the mind is pulled in 1,000 directions. More goals, more demands, more expectations. And somehow, in the middle of all this movement, something feels missing. Not outside, inside. Right now, millions of people wake up tired, even after sleeping. Not because the body is weak, but because the mind never rests. The moment the eyes open, the race begins. Messages, numbers, comparisons, deadlines. There is always something to chase, something to fix, something to prove. Life becomes a constant reaction. And over time, this constant reaction becomes exhaustion. This pressure doesn't come from one big problem. It comes from too much of everything. Too many things to care about. Too many opinions to please. Too many roles to play. The human brain was never designed for this much noise. Psychologically, the mind seeks clarity, not chaos. It seeks meaning, not overload. But modern life feeds it the opposite. People are busy, yet unfulfilled. Connected, yet lonely. Successful on the outside, empty on the inside. And the strange part is this: most don't even realize why. They think the answer is more effort, more speed, more achievement. So they push harder. And the pressure tightens further. This is where the trap is set. Society praises hustle, but ignores peace. It rewards accumulation, but forgets balance. The result is a generation that is always moving, yet never arriving. Always doing, yet rarely feeling alive. The pressure becomes normal. Stress becomes routine. Anxiety becomes background noise. But here's the truth most people never hear. The pressure you feel is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that your life is overcrowded. Overcrowded with expectations that aren't yours. Overcrowded with desires you were taught to want. Overcrowded with noise that drowns your inner voice. Psychology shows that when the mind is overstimulated, it loses direction. Decision-making weakens. Motivation drops. Confidence fades. Not because you are incapable, but because your energy is scattered. Power doesn't disappear. It gets diluted. And this is where a powerful shift begins. Not with adding something new, but with removing what no longer serves you. Not with chasing more, but with choosing less. Because simplicity is not about escaping life. It's about reclaiming it. Deep inside, the human mind craves simplicity. It craves space. Space to think. Space to feel. Space to breathe. When life is simpler, the mind becomes sharper. When the noise fades, clarity returns. And when clarity returns, strength follows. Most people think power looks loud. They think it looks busy. They think it looks impressive. But real power is quiet. Real power is calm. Real power comes from control, not chaos. From intention, not impulse. If you stay until the end of this video, you'll understand something that most people spend their entire lives missing. You'll see why the strongest individuals are not the busiest ones. You'll discover how living with less can give you more control, more confidence, and more peace than chasing everything ever could. This is not about quitting ambition. It's about choosing direction. It's about realizing that a focused life beats a crowded one. And it starts by understanding the silent pressure shaping your choices every single day. The pressure is not your enemy. It's a signal that something needs to change. And the moment you recognize it, you take the first step toward a quieter, stronger, more powerful life. Once the pressure is felt, the next question becomes clear. Where does it come from? It doesn't appear by accident. It is taught, repeated, and reinforced every single day. From a young age, the mind is conditioned to believe that more equals better. More money means more respect. More possessions mean more value. More attention means more worth. This belief slowly becomes part of identity. The human brain learns through repetition. When the same message is seen again and again, it becomes truth. Society repeats one message relentlessly. You are not enough yet. Not successful enough. Not rich enough. Not admired enough. So the mind stays in a constant state of wanting. And wanting creates movement, but rarely satisfaction. This conditioning works because it targets a deep psychological need. The need to belong. The need to be accepted. The need to feel important. People don't chase things. They chase feelings. They believe the next achievement will finally bring peace. But the moment one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place. The finish line keeps moving. Comparison plays a powerful role here. The mind naturally measures itself against others. When surrounded by endless images of success, luxury, and perfection, the brain feels behind. Even when life is stable, comparison makes it feel incomplete. This is how contentment is stolen quietly, without force. The system benefits from dissatisfaction. A satisfied mind is hard to control. A calm person doesn't buy into every promise. But a restless mind keeps consuming, keeps chasing, keeps obeying. So the cycle continues. Work more. Want more. Buy more. Prove more. Over time, this training disconnects people from their real needs. Rest feels like laziness. Stillness feels unproductive. Simplicity feels like falling behind. And without realizing it, people start living lives designed by expectations rather than values. The mind becomes crowded with artificial goals. Goals that look impressive but feel empty. Goals that demand constant effort but give little peace. And the pressure grows stronger, not because life is hard, but because life is misaligned. Understanding this conditioning is a turning point. The moment awareness enters, control slowly returns. Because what is learned can be unlearned, and what is questioned loses its power. When the mind is trained to want more, it rarely sees the price it pays. The cost is not always financial. It is mental, emotional, psychological. Too much begins to drain the very energy needed to live well. Each extra desire demands attention. Each added responsibility takes a piece of focus. Slowly, life becomes heavier without anyone noticing when it happened. The brain has limited capacity. Psychology confirms that when choices increase, clarity decreases. Too many options create hesitation. Too many goals create confusion. Instead of feeling motivated, the mind feels overwhelmed. Decision-making becomes tiring. Confidence weakens. Not because the person lacks ability, but because attention is spread too thin. This overload shows up quietly. Constant tiredness. Irritation over small things. A restless feeling even during moments of rest. The body may stop, but the mind keeps running. Thoughts stack on top of each other with no space in between. Peace becomes rare, not because life is bad, but because there is no room left for it. Too much also creates emotional noise. When everything matters, nothing truly does. Priorities blur. Important things get the same weight as meaningless ones. The mind stays alert all the time, as if something is always about to go wrong. This state slowly turns into anxiety. A feeling of being behind, even when progress is real. Another hidden cost is disconnection. Disconnection from self. When life is crowded, there is no silence to hear inner signals. No space to recognize what feels right or wrong. People begin living on autopilot, following routines and expectations without questioning direction. Days move fast, but meaning feels distant. The saddest part is this. Many believe this exhaustion is normal. They assume adulthood feels this way. They accept stress as the price of success. But this belief keeps them trapped. Because what feels normal is not always healthy. Too much steals presence. It steals joy. It steals the ability to appreciate what already exists. And when appreciation disappears, satisfaction becomes impossible. Recognizing this cost is not weakness. It is awareness. Awareness creates choice, and choice is the first form of power. When the weight of too much is seen clearly, the desire for simplicity begins to make sense. When the weight of too much is finally recognized, the mind often resists the solution. Simplicity feels uncomfortable at first. It feels risky. Society has taught that having less means being less. That slowing down means falling behind. This belief is powerful, but it is also false. True weakness is living without control. True weakness is being pulled by every desire, every trend, every opinion. Simplicity does the opposite. It is a conscious decision. A decision to choose what matters and release what doesn't. That choice requires strength. Psychologically, the brain associates excess with security. More money feels like safety. More options feel like freedom. But real security doesn't come from accumulation. It comes from stability within. When life is simpler, the mind feels grounded. It knows where to focus. It knows what to protect. Simplicity is often misunderstood because it looks quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't compete. But quiet does not mean powerless. A calm mind responds instead of reacts. It observes instead of panics. In moments of pressure, this calm becomes an advantage. People who live simply are not running away from responsibility. They are running toward clarity. They remove distractions so their energy can be used with purpose. Instead of being everywhere, they are fully present where it matters. This presence builds confidence. Not loud confidence, but steady confidence. There is also courage in simplicity. Letting go of what others expect takes inner strength. It means trusting your own values over external approval. This breaks the cycle of comparison. When comparison fades, self-respect grows. Simplicity does not shrink life. It sharpens it. With fewer distractions, small moments become meaningful. Decisions become easier. Stress loses its grip. The mind feels lighter, not because problems disappear, but because they are faced with focus instead of fear. The strongest individuals understand this truth. Power is not in how much you carry, but in how intentionally you move. Simplicity is not giving up. It is taking back control. Once simplicity is no longer seen as weakness, the mind begins to understand why it feels so powerful. The human brain is designed to function best with limits. Limits create structure. Structure creates safety. When everything is reduced to what truly matters, the mind relaxes. It no longer has to scan for endless possibilities or threats. Psychology explains this clearly. Every decision requires mental energy. When life is filled with choices, the brain becomes tired before the day even begins. This is why too many options lead to stress instead of freedom. Less choice doesn't limit life. It protects focus. When fewer things demand attention, concentration deepens. The mind stops jumping from thought to thought. It becomes present. Presence is where confidence is built. Not confidence based on appearance, but confidence based on clarity. Knowing what matters removes hesitation. There is also emotional relief in having less. Fewer commitments reduce guilt. Fewer desires reduce frustration. The mind no longer feels pulled apart. Instead, it feels aligned. Alignment is powerful because it removes inner conflict. When thoughts and actions move in the same direction, energy increases. Simplicity also restores a sense of control. Control is a deep psychological need. When life feels chaotic, anxiety grows. But when routines are clear and priorities are limited, the mind feels stable. Stability allows courage. It allows patience. It allows long-term thinking. Another important effect of less is self-trust. When you choose simplicity, you listen to your inner signals. You stop outsourcing decisions to trends or opinions. This builds internal authority. Over time, self-doubt fades because choices come from values, not pressure. Living with less does not make life smaller. It makes it intentional. Intention changes how the brain experiences time. Moments feel fuller. Days feel meaningful. Instead of rushing through life, life is actually lived. The psychology of less is simple. Remove the unnecessary, and the essential grows stronger. When the mind is no longer crowded, it becomes powerful. When the mind becomes clear, a deeper truth starts to surface. Much of the pressure people carry is not about survival. It is about performance. The need to impress quietly controls behavior. Choices are shaped by how they will look, not how they will feel. This invisible audience follows everywhere. Psychologically, the desire for approval is rooted in safety. Acceptance once meant survival. But in modern life, this instinct often works against us. The mind stays alert, constantly checking how it is being perceived. This creates tension. A life lived for approval is a life lived in defense. Simplicity breaks this pattern. When you choose less, you automatically step away from the performance. You stop decorating your life for others. You begin designing it for yourself. This shift feels uncomfortable at first because the ego resists losing attention. But beyond that discomfort is freedom. Freedom appears when actions no longer require applause. When decisions are made quietly, without explanation, the mind relaxes because it no longer has to justify itself. Energy that was wasted on image returns to purpose. Impressing others creates a moving target. Standards change. Opinions shift. No matter how much effort is given, it is never enough. Simplicity ends this chase. It replaces external validation with internal alignment. Alignment feels steady because it does not depend on reactions. There is strength in being misunderstood. When you stop trying to control perception, authenticity grows. Authenticity builds confidence. Not the loud kind, but the grounded kind. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself. This freedom also sharpens judgment. Without the noise of opinions, choices become cleaner. The mind listens inward instead of outward. Fear loses influence because fear feeds on judgment. When judgment fades, courage takes its place. Letting go of impressing is not withdrawing from the world. It is standing firmly within it. It is choosing truth over appearance. And this choice unlocks a level of peace that no recognition can replace. When the need to impress fades, something stronger takes its place. Self-control. This is where real power begins. Not power over others, but power over impulses, distractions, and emotional reactions. Psychology shows that the ability to delay, choose, and restrain is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success and inner peace. A simple life strengthens self-control because it removes temptation. Fewer distractions mean fewer battles. When the environment is clean, the mind doesn't have to fight itself all day. Energy is saved. Willpower lasts longer. Self-control is often misunderstood as restriction. In truth, It is direction. It means choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. It means acting from intention rather than impulse. This ability builds trust with yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Every time you say no to something unnecessary, you say yes to something meaningful. This creates momentum. Small acts of control compound into discipline. Discipline creates structure. Structure creates freedom. A cluttered life encourages reaction. A simple life encourages response. Reaction is emotional. Response is conscious. When emotions no longer control actions, stability forms. Stability brings calm. Calm sharpens awareness. There is also dignity in restraint. Not everything needs to be expressed. Not every desire needs to be followed. This quiet strength is rare, and rarity creates power. People sense it. Respect follows naturally, without effort. Self-control also reduces regret. Choices are made slowly, thoughtfully. Mistakes decrease. When mistakes happen, they are faced with responsibility instead of excuses. This maturity builds inner authority. Living simply supports this process. It aligns the environment with values. When life reflects intention, effort feels lighter. The mind stops fighting itself. Energy flows in one direction. True power is not dramatic. It is consistent. It shows up in small daily decisions, in what is ignored, in what is protected, in what is patiently built. Self-control is not about denying life. It is about mastering it. When self-control becomes part of daily life, the mind begins to change. Thoughts slow down. Noise fades. What remains is clarity. Clarity is not intelligence. It is space. And space allows intelligence to work properly. A crowded mind struggles to think deeply. It reacts instead of reflecting. But a simple life removes unnecessary input. Fewer distractions mean fewer interruptions. The brain can follow one thought at a time fully. This is where clear thinking is born. Psychologically, clarity reduces fear. Fear often comes from confusion. When the mind doesn't know what matters, everything feels threatening. But when priorities are limited, decisions feel manageable. Stress loses intensity because the path is visible. Clear thinkers don't rush. They pause. That pause is powerful. It creates distance between emotion and action. In that distance, better choices appear. Mistakes decrease. Regret fades. Simplicity also sharpens perception. Small details become noticeable. Patterns are seen earlier. This awareness creates an advantage. While others react late, the calm mind moves early. Clear thinking strengthens emotional stability. Emotions are felt without being obeyed. Anger passes. Anxiety weakens. The mind observes instead of drowning. This emotional intelligence builds resilience. Another effect of clarity is honesty. When life is simple, excuses disappear. The mind sees reality as it is. Growth becomes possible because truth is visible. Self-deception fades. People with clear minds don't waste energy explaining themselves. They move quietly. They choose carefully. This quiet confidence influences others without effort. Clarity also deepens purpose. When distractions are removed, values become obvious. Action aligns naturally. Life feels coherent instead of scattered. Simplicity does not remove complexity from the world. It removes complexity from the mind. And a clear mind is one of the most powerful tools a human can possess.